Hello, this is John from Second Chance Composting. How you doing today? SecondChanceComposting.com is a website. We serve the Berkshires, Mass, and Southern Vermont for all sorts of composting. Food scraps, wood chips, leaves, sawdust, manure, other organics, pickup, hauling, processing, and then sale of the finished product. So we basically operate two businesses. One's a hauling business where, like a trash guy, we go around and get food scraps, leaves, other organic stuff from folks, and they pay us to come get it. And then the second part is the processing of our material. So again, we get wood chips, leaves, there's food scraps all in that windrow over there. So today I got our brand new Sittler Trommel Screener fired up for the first time. So I'm going to give a very quick review just after the first use of this machine. Now, taking into account that it's very wet here, it's been raining for the last week or so, very, very heavy rain. So our compost wet. Also, it's snowy and it was freezing overnight, so take that into account as well. I have the 1/2-inch screen for this. I did a lot of research on what size to screen to, and I settled on 1/2 inch. I could have went smaller, but the 1/2 inch makes sense to me. I've seen some other folks do it, and I will say now, after seeing the finished product, very happy with that choice. I don't need to go any smaller than this, and if I did, I'd have to take a lot more to screen, and I'd have to move a lot of the overs multiple times, which doesn't make sense for me. So very happy after the first time. So here's the overs that came out. We screened about a yard, maybe not even that, but you know, that's pretty wet, and there's actually some good stuff in there still. That will go back in the piles. All right, and then here is the finished product. I mean, that's absolutely gorgeous. I'm so happy with how well this screened, honestly. My screening knowledge or process previously has been to not screen it and sell it unscreened, which I didn't like doing. It's not the product I wanted to have on the market, but I had a bunch ready, didn't have a screener, and I put it online, told people what it would look like. But realistically, I didn't like the final product. So halfway through last year, whenever people ordered, I'm still not at a place where I had so many orders I couldn't keep up. I was actually screening this by hand, which is ridiculous. But what I would do is I would take my bucket, and I have a big screen that would fit right on top, throw the compost on with a shovel, use my hand to run over it at an angle. 3 bucket loads is a yard. That's what I would do. For the big orders, 5-6 yards, I couldn't possibly do that. But for a yard or two, I think I did 3 yards once like that. Very labor intensive. So I'm working from a place of like anything is way better than that. So here we go. This starts right up. No problem. It had oil in it when we got it. So good parts. Honestly, there's not much to running it. It's pretty simple. I'm not a mechanic by any means. But this, I got myself overwhelmed thinking all the moving parts and stuff, but it's basically just an engine. Conveyor belts, everything runs off the engine. There's some chains and pulleys and system in there that I'm not going to open right now, but yeah, you fire it up, and then when it's running, when it's on low, it doesn't turn, but as soon as you turn it up high, it starts running. So one thing, I did have a problem with the belt. I've heard from others that they get an issue with the belt getting gummed up underneath with material. That wasn't my issue because I'd never put anything in it. When I dumped my first load in today, the trommel was turning, dumped my load, didn't realize it, the belt wasn't even moving. So what I did is I went up in to the hopper with a shovel and just scraped down the sides a little bit and out where the belt runs, and then it started running. It was iced over just a tad bit. So really shouldn't be an issue, but especially it being April 9th today. But we're in the Berkshires and New England, so that's how it is. As far as how it works, like, this stuff's very wet, so I had a lot of problems with it getting stuck right there before it could come on the conveyor into the trommel. So it was gummed up in there. There's not a big section inside here between the hopper and where the conveyor brings it into the trommel. It's very minimal. So with it being so wet, it was not feeding through properly. I had to keep getting in there, and I had to kind of push it in with a shovel a little bit to keep it running through. Not a huge deal, but not something I'd want to be running and doing every time when I'm in full operation with this thing. So that's probably because it's really wet compost, and that I'll forgive it for now. I don't think that'll be an issue going forward. Again, this stuff's really wet. Then the other thing is, I wish the hopper was a little bit lower. This is a 40 horsepower tractor, Bobcat, which I'm sure a lot of composters probably use something similar to this, especially at this scale. So this trommel screener is, for a scale such as ours, we could probably get away with getting a bigger one, but for the price and scale, it makes sense for us. But I will say that knowing the market and knowing that who they're going to be selling this to, I think they should know that most composters at this level probably have something similar to what we have for a loader. So they maybe have a skid steer or something, but I can barely get the material in there. So fortunately, I also have another loader that goes much higher, and it will be no issue for us whatsoever. But if I had gotten this without the other loader, like, I'd have to build a ramp or something in order to get up and in there, which would be annoying. So I think knowing the market and who's buying it, they should take that into account with the dump height of the hopper. But who am I? I'm not an engineer. But just a note, that's kind of my thinking on that part. But I think those two things are pretty solvable. For me, it's easy. Like, I have another loader that I'm going to bring up, and it'll reach without an issue whatsoever. And then I think the gumming up is just really because of how wet it is. But it worked. I got some good stuff out of it. Very happy with how it looks. Like, extremely impressed with the quality of what came out. So all this will be put back into piles as overs. I was actually worried that when I ran it, most of it would come out as overs. But this screener runs slow enough. It's not that long of a trommel, but it runs slow enough so that even if you're putting in chunky wet pieces, it will eventually pop them around enough to break it up. So yeah, that was my fear. I'd never used one before. I've seen them in use. Not this particular one, like in person. I've seen this in use on mine. I've seen other screeners in use. But my fear was, I come up here, I start screening, and 90% of it's overs. But that's not what happened even remotely. I screened out a lot. I mean, for me, this is a lot quickly. I think you can get, from other folks I've talked to, you can screen anywhere from like 4 to 8 yards an hour, which to me would be amazing. I was doing like 1 or 2 an hour before by hand. So, and one other note, this can also come with a bottom with sides on it that you can then scoop up your compost. But I went with the one with the conveyor. So this feeds into this hopper down here. The finished product falls down there. So I've had to move it out of the way. Now, I didn't buy the hopper the conveyor with this one, because I found the exact same conveyor. Not the exact same conveyor as far as brand and stuff, but the exact specs, same size, width, everything pretty much, for about $4,000 lower from somewhere else, brand new. So I bought this one from Sittler, but I did not get the screener from Sittler. I got it from another company. So because of that, that is still on its way here, and I haven't had time to get it set up because it's not here. So once I have that set and running, I'm gonna get all this stuff screened in a couple days. Like, I'll just come up here and boom, be done. Seriously, it's not hard work for me, especially coming from a place of doing it the very, very hard way for so long. This is like an absolute gift. So very happy. There are some issues. Like that one got through. But I think as far as the first day goes, I'm pretty happy with what we got going. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say, but I'm sure I will give more updates on this as we move through the season and give it more use. But for now, I'm going to go do a little bit more work here. SecondChanceComposting.com. Please like and subscribe. Thank you, everybody.